The first sound wasn't a scream. It was laughter. Soft, thin, almost playful. I remember lying awake in my childhood bedroom on Christmas night, staring at the ceiling while the house breathed around me. The heater clicked. The floorboards whispered. Outside, the wind dragged its nails across the siding like it was trying to get in. Then the laughter floated up through the vents. It came from below us, from the living room. I held my breath listening, waiting for my parents to move, waiting for proof I wasn't imagining it. The laughter stopped. Silence pressed in, thick and heavy. Then something thumped against the wall beneath my bed. Once, twice, like a fist knocking from the inside of the house itself. I sat up. "Dad?" I whispered. No answer. The hallway light flicked on by itself. Slow footsteps crossed the floor beneath me. Not hurried, not sneaking, just deliberate. Like whoever it was knew the house, knew where everyone slept. I slid out of bed and opened my door an inch. The smell hit me first. Burnt pine, old dust, something rotten underneath. At the bottom of the stairs, something stood in front of the Christmas tree. It wasn't tall. It wasn't human. And it was holding one of our ornaments, the glass one with my name painted on it, turning it slowly like it was remembering me. Then it looked up and smiled. That's when my mother screamed. People say Christmas is supposed to feel safe, like the world presses pause for one night, like nothing bad is allowed to happen while lights glow and families sit close together. I believed that when I was a kid. I believed walls were solid, that homes were loyal, that evil needed darkness and distance to work. I was wrong. That Christmas night didn't start wrong. That's what still bothers me. It felt quiet in a way I didn't recognize yet. Not peaceful, just waiting. We'd moved into the house 6 months earlier. 2 stories. White siding. Green shutters. A porch that sagged just enough to make it groan when you stepped on it. My parents said it had character. I remember the way the forest sat too close behind it, like it was listening. Dad worked late that Christmas Eve. Mom burned the ham a little. Emily fell asleep on the couch with a candy cane stuck to her cheek. Normal things. Safe things. The tree was already up when Dad came home. Real pine, tall, brushing the ceiling. The ornaments were old, most of them handed down. Some didn't have stories attached to them anymore. Just fingerprints and dust. Mom noticed one ornament was cracked. "I don't remember that," she said. Dad shrugged. "Probably old." The lights flickered once, then steadied. That should have been the warning. Later, when everyone went to bed, the house felt too large, like it had stretched after the lights went out. I lay awake listening to the wind slide through the trees behind the house, branches knocking together in slow, hollow taps. Then came the sound. At first, I thought it was the TV downstairs, leftover noise drifting through the vents. But it wasn't voices talking. It was laughter. Not loud. Not happy. Measured. Like someone practicing. I sat up, heart pounding, staring at the dark shape of my bedroom door. The laughter stopped the moment I focused on it, as if it had noticed me noticing it. Silence rushed in, thick enough to hurt my ears. Then the heater clicked on. And with it came footsteps. Downstairs. Slow. Unhurried. Not the sound of someone sneaking. The sound of someone who belonged. I whispered, "Dad." No answer. The footsteps circled the living room. Something brushed against the wall beneath my bed, a dull dragging sound, and I felt it in my chest, not my ears. I stayed still, fingers clenched in the blanket, telling myself it was pipes. Wood. Old houses made noise. The hallway light flicked on. I hadn't heard the switch. A thin line of yellow light cut under my door. The air smelled wrong, like burned pine needles and cold dust. I opened my door an inch. The hallway looked longer than it should have. Shadows clung to the corners, refusing to pull back. At the far end, the stairs descended into darkness that felt heavier than night. Another step sounded below. Then another. I crept forward, each movement careful, slow. Halfway down the stairs, I saw the Christmas tree glowing faintly, lights steady and unblinking. Something stood in front of it, blocking part of the glow. It was small, narrow, its back bent as if it had learned to fold itself around low ceilings. It lifted an ornament from the tree, the glass one with my name painted in red, and turned it gently like it was afraid to drop it. "Hey," I whispered. It didn't turn. Instead, it spoke. Not loudly, not sharply. "Your house remembers you." Cold rushed through me. I took another step back, heart hammering so hard I was sure it could hear it. That's when my mother screamed upstairs, raw animal ripped straight from her chest. The thing moved. It didn't run. It slid, dissolving into shadow as Dad came barreling down the stairs, baseball bat in his hands, face already pale like he knew what he was about to see. "What's going on?" he shouted. Mom stumbled into the hallway, clutching Emily so hard she was crying now. Her eyes were wild. "It was in her room," Mom gasped. "It was standing by her closet." Dad ran upstairs. I followed just enough to see him stop dead in the doorway. The closet door hung open. The wall behind it was scarred. Deep, crooked scratches carved into the paint, some so low they looked like they'd been made by hands dragging along the surface. Emily sniffed and wiped her nose. "She said she was cold," Emily said quietly. Mom froze. "Who said that?" she asked. Emily looked at the ceiling. The lady in the walls. The house creaked. Not settling. Not aging. Listening. The tree lights went out downstairs, one by one, like someone pinching them between their fingers. From somewhere above us, a voice whispered, soft, pleased, and close enough to feel on my neck. "Found you." And I understood then, with sick certainty, that Christmas night wasn't protecting us. It was inviting something in. And it wasn't done remembering. No one slept after that. We tried. We sat together in the living room with the lights on, backs pressed to the couch, like if we touched long enough we wouldn't drift apart. Dad kept the baseball bat across his knees. Mom held Emily so tightly her fingers left pale marks on her arms. The house made no effort to hide itself anymore. It creaked in places that shouldn't bear weight. The vents sighed like lungs. Somewhere deep inside the walls, something shifted slowly, as if turning over in its sleep. Dad said we'd leave at first light. He said it too quickly. Mom nodded but didn't look convinced. Her eyes kept moving. Ceiling, corners, door frames, like she was counting exits that weren't really there. Emily stopped crying. That scared me more than the screaming had. She leaned her head against Mom's chest, eyes half-lidded, listening. "She's still here," Emily whispered. Dad snapped. "Emily, stop." Emily frowned, confused. She didn't leave. She just moved. The temperature dropped. Not suddenly. Gradually. Like warmth being pulled away inch by inch. Mom wrapped a blanket around Emily. "Who is she?" Emily shrugged. "She says this was her house first." That's when the knocking began. Not at the door. Inside the walls. 3 soft knocks near the staircase. A pause. Then 3 more behind the TV. Dad stood. "Hello," he called, voice tight. "Who's there?" The knocking stopped. Silence stretched until it felt unbearable. Then whispering crept through the room. Layered, overlapping, too many mouths speaking at once. We stayed. Burned. Winter. Family. Mom covered Emily's ears. Dad backed toward the hallway. "We're leaving," he said. "Now." He reached for the front door. The handle wouldn't turn. He tried again. Harder. Nothing. Dad rattled it, panic rising. "It's jammed." Mom rushed over. "Let me try." The lock slid smoothly under her hand, but the door still didn't open. It felt solid, like it had fused with the frame. Dad pressed his ear to it. "I don't hear wind." He opened the curtain. The porch was gone. In its place stood trees. Tall, dark pines pressed so close their branches scraped the glass. Snow clung to them in thick, unmoving clumps. No yard. No road. Just forest. "That's not possible," Mom whispered. The knocking started again. this time directly beneath the floorboards. Emily giggled. Mom shook her. Emily. She's excited, Emily said. She says it's Christmas again. The lights flickered and went out all at once. Darkness swallowed us. Something scraped beneath our feet. Slow, deliberate, like fingernails tracing the underside of the floor. Dad grabbed a flashlight from the drawer and clicked it on. The beam shook as it swept the room. The floor rippled. Just slightly. Like skin. Mom screamed. Dad backed away. Upstairs, he said. Everyone upstairs. We ran. The staircase groaned under our weight, each step sinking a little deeper than it should have. Halfway up, the house shifted, not violently but decisively, and the hallway at the top stretched, doors pulling farther apart like a mouth opening. Emily slipped. Something grabbed her ankle. A pale hand pushed up through the floorboard seam, fingers too long, joints bending wrong. Dad swung the bat and struck it. The sound wasn't bone or wood. It was wet. The hand recoiled, retreating into the floor as if embarrassed. Emily sobbed now, clinging to Mom. She didn't mean to hurt me, Emily cried. She just wanted to touch. We barricaded ourselves in my parents' bedroom. Dad shoved the dresser against the door. Mom dragged the bed sideways. The window was coated in frost, on the inside. Dad scraped at it with his sleeve. The glass was warm beneath the ice. That's not right, he muttered. Mom sank onto the floor, shaking. This house isn't haunted, she said. It's occupied. The whispering resumed, clearer now. From inside the room. From the mirror. You're safe, the voice said gently. Using Mom's voice. We kept the others safe too. Dad covered the mirror with a blanket. The house didn't like that. The walls shuddered. A deep groan rolled through the structure, followed by a sound like furniture being dragged, except it wasn't furniture. It was rooms. The hallway outside rearranged itself. Doors slammed where no doors had been. A staircase groaned into existence somewhere below us. Emily pressed her face into Mom's neck. She's showing me. Mom whispered. Showing you what? Emily hesitated. The other Christmases. The air grew thick, heavy with images that weren't ours. Flashes bleeding into the room like memories forced through cracks. A family sitting around a table, coughing, faces red from smoke. A woman screaming while snow piled against a door from the outside. Children huddled beneath stairs, hands over their mouths. Fire. Winter. Silence. This house burned, Mom said slowly. A long time ago. Dad nodded. And nobody came. The whispering sharpened. They forgot us. They left us. They built over us. The floor beneath Emily softened again. She gasped. Mom pulled her back just as the board split open, revealing darkness beneath. Not a basement. Not earth. Something deeper. Hands reached up again. Dozens this time, grasping, pleading. Dad slammed the bat down, screaming. Stop. Leave us alone. The hands withdrew. The hole sealed itself. The house sighed, satisfied. For a moment nothing happened. Then footsteps echoed in the hallway. Slow. Measured. Approaching. Dad raised the bat. The door bowed inward, not breaking, bending like rubber. A shape pressed against it from the other side, imprinting the outline of a face where the wood thinned. A woman's face. Burned. Cracked. Smiling. We only need one, the voice said softly. One to stay warm. The face withdrew. The footsteps faded. Mom slid down the wall, sobbing. It wants to trade. Emily wiped her eyes. She says someone has to stay so the house doesn't get lonely. I stared at my sister, heart pounding. Emily. Why can you hear her? Emily shrugged. She likes me. Dad's voice broke. Why? Emily tilted her head. Because I listen. The house shifted again. The bedroom door slid open by itself. The hallway beyond was no longer ours. The wallpaper had changed. Yellowed, peeling. The air smelled of smoke and old pine. At the end of the hall stood a Christmas tree. Not ours. Candles burned down to stubs, wax pooling on the floor. Figures stood around it. Frozen. Blackened. Watching. Mom grabbed Dad's arm. "We can't stay here." Dad nodded. "We make a run for it. Window. Now." He shattered the glass with the bat. Cold air rushed in, real cold, biting and sharp. Dad shoved the dresser aside and threw the door open. The hallway had shortened. The stairs were closer. But the walls pulsed as we ran, breathing around us. Doors opened and closed, revealing glimpses of other rooms, other families, locked in moments of terror. Emily slowed. "She's calling me," Emily said. Mom dragged her. No. The floor buckled. Dad fell, hitting the wall hard. Hands erupted from the wallpaper, gripping his arms, pulling him sideways. He screamed my name. Mom screamed his. The wall softened and swallowed him. Just like that. Silence rushed in. Mom collapsed, sobbing, clawing at the wall where he'd been. Emily stared, unblinking. "She's sorry," Emily said quietly. "But he wasn't part of the deal." Mom's face went empty. The house hummed, content. We reached the front door again. Mom yanked it open. The forest waited. Too close. Branches pressed in, blocking the way like ribs. Mom stepped forward anyway. The trees didn't move. The house spoke from everywhere at once. "One stays." The floor beneath Emily opened again. I grabbed her hand. Mom grabbed mine. For a moment we were all connected, a chain stretched tight. The house tightened its grip. The floor pulled harder. Emily looked up at me. "She says it's almost morning," Emily whispered. "She says someone has to remember." The walls leaned in. The lights flared back on. And I understood then, with awful clarity, that this house didn't just trap people. It collected families. And it was ready to finish ours. The floor dropped. Mom screamed. And the house decided who it would keep. The bedroom floor gave way completely. Not a splinter, not a groan. Just smooth, impossible collapse. Darkness rushed up, swallowing the room in a heartbeat. Mom screamed, clutching my arm, while Emily's small fingers slipped from mine, grasping at nothing. The walls around us twisted, expanding, contracting, folding into impossible angles. Hallways appeared where none existed before. Doors opened into blackness. Ceiling beams bent downward, dripping shadows. Time lost meaning. Minutes stretched into eternities. Seconds collapsed into nothing. And then I saw them. Figures. Pale, thin, twisted, as if carved from smoke and memory. Faces burned away. Eyes hollow, mouths frozen in screaming smiles. They moved without sound, drifting across the warped floors like they were underwater. Each figure wore clothes from decades past, stained and torn. Some held toys. Some clutched gifts. Some cradled bones wrapped in tattered ribbons. One stepped forward, using Mom's voice. "We kept you warm." Dad charged it with the bat, screaming. The figure didn't flinch. The bat passed straight through as though it were mist. Then hands, pale and jointed too long, wrapped around Dad's arms and legs. His scream shredded the air. He was lifted, dragged backward into the floor. Not a fight. Not resistance. He was gone. Mom grabbed Emily and pushed her toward me. "We have to run," she cried, but the room stretched, hallways folding back on themselves, disorienting every step. The ceiling pulsed like a living heart. Shadows moved across the walls, whispering, mimicking our voices. Emily looked at me with wide, unafraid eyes. "She likes you," she said quietly. "But she needs one." Mom's sobs shook the floor. "No. Don't you listen to her." I realized she meant the house. It wasn't a house anymore. It was a collector. A predator. Alive. Hungry. Intent. The walls around us warped, closing in. The whispering intensified, repeating phrases in our voices. "You already died here. You belong to us now. Stay warm." Emily's small hand slipped from mine. She didn't cry. She didn't resist. She walked forward. The floor beneath her softened and swallowed her slowly, as if caressing her, pulling her into the darkness below. No! I screamed, lunging after her. But the floor rose, a barrier between us. Mom screamed too, clawing at the smooth surface. The figures drifted closer. One leaned down and whispered through Mom's voice. "Choose. One stays. The rest may leave." I understood. The house had made its decision. Its choice. Someone had to remain. Mom grabbed me. "Go. Run," she yelled. "Don't stop." I looked at Emily. She smiled at me, calm and pale. "It's okay. She likes me." The floor buckled beneath Mom. I turned back for her, but her hand slipped, and she vanished into the warped surface. The whispers roared now, filling the room from every angle. "Stay. Warm. Remember us." I ran. I didn't look back. The corridors twisted endlessly, but somehow the front door appeared. Cold air rushed in, biting, freezing. Branches from the forest pressed against the threshold, but I pushed through with the last of my strength. Behind me, the house screamed, a low, bone-rattling sound that shattered the world, that twisted the air itself. It was alive, angry, satisfied, and indifferent all at once. I stumbled into the snow, dragging Emily's absence with me. She was gone. Mom was gone. Dad was gone. All of us almost claimed. The house settled behind me. From the windows, I glimpsed movement, shadowed figures standing in the warped halls, smiling, watching, waiting. And the snow around it was silent again, the trees normal, the world seeming unchanged, except for the gnawing knowledge in my chest. Christmas night had chosen. And it always gets its due. I screamed Emily's name, but only the wind answered. The house had taken what it wanted, and it would not release it. The whisper returned, carried on the cold air, faint but clear. "Found you." And somewhere inside, I knew it was only the beginning. Dawn came like a lie. The forest receded. Snow covered the ground in clean, untouched sheets. Birds sang. The wind whispered through trees. The world looked normal. Too normal. I stumbled onto the road in a daze, alone. My clothes were wet with frost, my body shaking from cold and terror. The house sat behind me, quiet, ordinary. Boarded up windows. Sagging porch. No sign of the horrors inside. No hint of the family it had consumed. I didn't know where Mom, Dad, or Emily had gone. Somewhere in the warped halls they were still there, or maybe inside the darkness beneath the floor, or within the twisted figures that had drifted through the rooms that night. I didn't dare imagine it. Neighbors eventually found me, wandering along the roadside hours later. I couldn't speak at first, just pointed at the house over and over, trying to make them see what I saw, to make them understand what had happened. They said the house had been abandoned for months, rumors of previous families leaving suddenly. They didn't know about the scratching in the walls, the cold laughter, or the figures in the shadows. They just nodded politely, calling a doctor, calling the police, calling it trauma. The house was condemned weeks later. Chains and boards sealed it off. Contractors tore it down. Yet in my dreams, the walls stayed. The house wasn't gone. It was memory itself, stretching its dark corridors into my mind. I live elsewhere now, far away. I keep the windows open in the summer, lights on in the winter, but some nights, Christmas night when the wind presses close, I hear it. A soft laughter drifting through vents and pipes. A voice whispering my name in a familiar hollow tone. I know I'm being watched. I know the house remembers me. I never celebrate Christmas the same way. Decorations feel like traps, lights like eyes, ornaments like fingers pressing from unseen hands. I never visit forests alone. I never enter abandoned homes. I can't. The memory clings. The inevitability lingers. The house waits. And every year I wonder, did I leave something behind that Christmas night? Something it keeps calling for? Because somewhere, far from the world that seems ordinary, the house is patient. It collects, it remembers, and it waits for the next family. Sometimes, in silence, I can almost hear Emily. Her voice, calm, unafraid. She says you're next. And I know she's not warning me. She's telling the truth. Some houses never forget. Some Christmases never end. And some nights, you can't escape what's waiting inside. The echo of that first laughter never fades. It waits. It remembers. It always comes back.